We've had a lot of talk recently about legislation and dealing with the sort of fallout from domestic abuse when it gets to the stage where the emergency services have become involved, or the police have become involved, and the courts are involved. Before then, what support is there for people who are in a situation that they want to get out of?
What is available is our services. So victim support is available, and we're available Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, to support those affected by domestic abuse, amongst other things, including other crimes. And we provide emotional support and practical help for that. And, we're not talking just about physical abuse. We're talking about the emotional abuse, the financial abuse, perhaps sexual abuse within a relationship. But also that could be, people don't have to be living together. We've got people who are in relationships who are still living at home with their parents, but the relationship that they have with their boyfriend or girlfriend is abusive. We also have people who are in abusive relationships and perhaps their children are abusing the parent. And that also comes under the term domestic abuse here on the Isle of Man as defined by the forum, the Domestic Abuse Forum. So victim support and women's aid, are there and available to help and to provide support for them. We're not telling people what they do, but we're giving them options to be able to talk through it, to see what is available, what's going to suit them, because everybody is an individual. And I think that's important to remember. What suits one person doesn't necessarily suit another. At Victim Support, I've got my independent domestic violence advisor qualification and my independent sexual violence advisor qualification, which we've cascaded down through the system. So that gives us the tools to be able to work with people to look at what's going to be a safer plan for their future and for the people affected. So that could be children as well.
Now, in order to access the services, do people have to go to the police, or can they come to you independently?
Absolutely not. We take referrals from all sorts. I'll speak for victim support and firstly and say that we can take referrals from the police, of course, but we can also people can just phone up and speak to us directly about what's affecting them. Sometimes we get referrals from the GPs or the social workers and things, and it doesn't matter where the referrals come. It's just if they're a victim of domestic abuse. And so Thelma, in terms of your referrals,
yes, well we have a helpline which is manned 365 days a year. It's open from 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. Now, we can't take calls in the after 10 o'clock at night, but the police do. Everybody always thinks that you're busiest in the middle of the night, but honestly, you're not. It's a very, very quiet time. People usually wait till he's gone to work or something like that, and it's the daytime we're busy. And all of our staff, of course, are volunteers, otherwise we couldn't afford to keep the refuge going. And they have families and they work. And the committee and I felt that it was long enough to ask them. We wouldn't like to be called out in the middle of the night because you don't know how safe it is. So we work very well with the police over that. So, right, we're always available. We'll have let anyone in, go and see them between 8 in the morning and 10 in the evening. We do get a lot, as Paula said about, we do get a lot of individuals ringing us direct, because we have a small advertisement in the Courier every week, and I do a lot of talks, and we have posters and leaflets all over everywhere. So a lot of people do ring up. I would say approximately 350, 400 telephone calls a year we get. Now, all of those are not asking to come in the house. They're asking advice, they're asking about the house, they're asking all sorts of questions, and sometimes they just want to talk. But we do get referrals from the police, of course, and we do work with them very well. We get referrals from doctors, from A&E, and also from social services. So all the people, I suppose, the majority of people who matter, or the individuals can read in the paper, they can all contact us.
What is the scale of the problem here now?
So I suppose we can only speak for our organisations as
Yes.
to what we see and what we experience. But I think people are coming forward more. That's what we would say, that people are coming forward, feeling more confident to be able to talk about it. Once upon a time, it was like behind closed doors, and people didn't, even a neighbour or a friend wouldn't sort of like, challenge somebody if somebody had a black eye, for example. But now people perhaps challenge that more. People are willing to speak about it more. It's not perhaps, so hidden as it was. But for anybody, it is always something tricky to talk about. So I would say, and I have forgotten to bring the exact numbers, but our numbers are up in regard to domestic abuse, and they're continuing to rise. We are called upon more and more about domestic abuse. And, people perhaps say, with regards to, say, the World Cup, and yes, there's perhaps a spike in elements of it, but domestic abuse is, it happens every day. It's not just around particular events like Christmas and things. It does happen all the time. But it does feed into all areas, such as, so how personal well-being. So if they're not, if they're in a difficult situation, difficult relationship, they're not going to be feeling very good at, they're perhaps depressed and things, and therefore there's a drain then on the health service. They may not be feeling that they want to go into work that day, so then there's a drain on the employment and things. So it feeds into all areas of social life. So if we can help people to feel safer and to move forward and things, then it helps really the island community as a whole, to us all as taxpayers, really.
I do think Paula has a very good point, that people are coming forward more. We are busy, and yes, I can't say just at the moment we're any busier than we've been for the past, say, 5 years, but we're still busy. But people are coming forward more, because I think there's more in the newspapers, there's more on the television about domestic violence, there's more people saying, you don't have to put up with this anymore. And it does, but it's not easy. I do sometimes think that it must take a lot of guts to pick up that phone and ask to come in to us, because they don't know where they're coming. We know it's lovely, and it's home from home. That's what we want people to realise. And we've only realised the difference between our refuge and the refuges across. They're great across, they look after people wonderfully well, but the hostels, because there's so many people, they have to be hostels. Ours is a home. They've got their own keys to the rooms, they've got everything, and Paula will confirm this, because we work with Paula very well, that it is a home, and that's the way we want it to stay. But when you ring up, you don't know that. So I do think, they're very brave, a lot of people, in admitting they've got a problem and wanting to do something about it.